It's time for You Make Them Magic, the series where I rate custom cards sent in by you, the fans, to mtg.picks. Alright, so our first card today comes from David Lyford Tilley. It is called Ice Sculpture. It is 1 and a blue for a creature elemental, rare. You may have Ice Sculpture enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it gains, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a -1/-1 counter on this creature for a 0/0. So first up, we're going to talk about Flavour. So Ice Sculpture. In the mind, that conjures up you're making a copy of something out of ice. Ice sculptures notoriously will melt eventually. Possibly it could have been a copy of an artifact, maybe, instead of a creature. It's difficult though when mixed with the mechanics. I think on flavour wise, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. Okay, so next up is mechanics. Is this an interesting card to play with? So we've had cards that copy with a downside at 1 and blue before. Phantasmal Image, notoriously, would be a copy of something you can make 1 and blue. That turned it into an illusion, and when you target it with a spell, you'd have to sacrifice it. So this is obviously a different way of getting around that effect. You still have the downside involved with that, and the downside obviously is to put a -1/-1 counter on the creature. So you're still going to get all the enter the battlefield effects. You still get to keep the creature for a turn. Like if it's a 1/1, you still get to keep that creature for a turn. It's a different way of going about the problem of how expensive should a copy be. What I like about this card is that it's a problem to be solved. So sometimes having a -1/-1 counter on it isn't so much of a problem. So yeah, I think on balance, I think an 8 out of 10 for mechanics, absolutely spot on. So next up, balance. How balanced is this card? By the fact that we have similar cards to rank it with, say Jeudy Shapeshifter, Phantasmal Image, that kind of card, I would say on the whole this is pretty balanced. I think the question is the downside too little or too much? I think in terms of balance, it's pretty decent. Like comparing it to other similar examples of cards, I think the downside is still there. It is still something you have to consider, and I don't think it's making the card overall broken. Yeah, I think on balance is going to be a 9 out of 10 for this. I'm pretty happy with the balance of this card. I think it's a well-designed card. Next up, meme. Is this a meme? The way that this card becomes more meme is through flavor text and through artwork. And because we don't have those things here, I don't think this card rates very highly for meme, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be. Meme, maybe 2 out of 10. And now, overall, what do I think about this card? I think this is a really well-balanced card. I could see this being in a set, depending on how it fits in artistically and stylistically within a set. But I could easily see this card being within a set and possibly being quite good. I mean, the ability to sort of have a copy of your best creature, yeah, potentially a temporary one, but maybe sometimes you want creatures to be dying after a certain amount of time. You know, there might be some leave the battlefield effects that come into play there. So yeah, I think I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 overall. Fantastic card. Would definitely play.